This time, Islamic Circles is back in front of you to share Islamic information, hopefully inspiring your activities today. There may be some questions that always cross our minds about Jesus and the Prophet Isa. Regarding this question, this time Islamic Circles is here to give a little answer for all of us. Here are some questions that we often hear, among others. What is the difference between Jesus and Prophet Isa? Is Prophet Isa different from Jesus Christ? Is the personality of Prophet Isa and Jesus Christ the same? Why are the names of Jesus in the Bible and Isa in the Qur'an different? Why do some people change the term Isa Al Maseh to Jesus Christ? For some of the similar questions above, allow me to provide answers regarding the differences between Jesus and Isa Al Maseh, both sourced from the New and Old Testaments of the Bible as well as the Qur'an. If we carefully examine the figures of Jesus and Jesus Al Maseh, then we will be able to find out that Jesus Al Maseh in the Qur'an and Jesus in the Bible are two individuals who are not the same, or two individuals who are different from each other. The difference is based on data taken from the Holy Book of Islam, the Qur'an, and the Holy Book of Christianity, the Bible, as believed by the adherents of these two different religions, Islam and Christianity. From the data about Isa Al Maseh, taken from the Qur'an, and the data about Jesus taken from the Bible, I found 10 differences between Isa Al Maseh and Jesus. The differences include the identity of Isa and Jesus, the families of Isa and Jesus, and what Isa and Jesus did while living in this world. We need to know the differences, both between Muslims and Christians, so that between the two different religions, we can recognize each other's beliefs, which both come from Abrahamic. Here are 10 differences between Jesus and the Prophet Isa. The first difference between Isa and Jesus is the place of birth. Isa in Islam is said to have been born under a date palm tree, but it is not mentioned in which area the date palm tree was located. Whereas Jesus in Christianity is said to have been born in a cave where shepherds shelter goats, in the pastures of Bethlehem, and the baby Jesus was placed in a manger, a place for feeding sheep. The two difference between Isa and Jesus is about the parents, the father and mother who raised him. The name of Isa's parents in Islam, mentioned in the Qur'an, is Maryam, so Isa was called by the name Isa, son of Maryam. As an ordinary human being, of course Isa had a father, but in the Qur'an, there is no mention of the name of Isa's father. In addition, the title Isa son of Maryam is also very common in the Arab tradition, which prioritizes the father's name as a lineage, namely with the designation bin. Meanwhile, the parents of Jesus in Christianity are clearly mentioned, detailed, and complete with their genealogy. Jesus is the son of Joseph and Mary, but Jesus is not their biological child, but only a child by Jewish law, because Jesus was not born from physical relations between Joseph and Mary, but Jesus was conceived by the Virgin Mary from the Holy Spirit. Therefore, Jesus is called the Son of God. The third difference between Isa and Jesus concerns the siblings of Isa's parents or mother. Isa in Islam is the son of Maryam, the sister of Aaron, while in Christianity, Jesus is the son of Mary, who is related to Elizabeth and her husband Zachariah. According to the Old Testament, Maryam was the sister of Aaron and Moses, who lived 1,000 years before Mary, the mother of Jesus, was born. The fourth difference between Isa and Jesus is about miracles. Jesus in Islam has made miracles since he was a baby. Jesus could speak when he was a baby, whereas Jesus in Christianity, the miracle of the baby Jesus speaking when he was a baby does not exist. Because according to the Christian scriptures, Jesus is the person who performed the most miracles. But all the miracles were performed after he officially started his ministry at the age of 30, and there is no record of miracles performed as a baby. The fifth difference between Isa and Jesus is in terms of performing miracles and bringing birds made of soil to life. In Islam, It is believed that Jesus was one of the prophets of Allah. Therefore, Jesus was given several advantages, such as performing miracles. One of the miracles of the prophet Jesus was making birds from the ground and bringing them to life by blowing his spirit into the bird, so that it lives and can fly. Whereas in Christianity, there is no record of Jesus' miraculous event of making a bird from the ground and bringing it to life. The sixth difference between Isa and Jesus is that the angel was revealed by God. In Islam, adherents believe that the angel was revealed to Jesus, just as the Torah was revealed to Prophet Moses and the Qur'an was revealed to Prophet Muhammad. Whereas in Christianity, the angel was not sent down from heaven to Jesus, neither in the form of a book, nor in the form of a revelation. However, Jesus himself is the angel, which means good news, that God forgives the sins of humanity through Jesus' sacrifice on the cross. Jesus also never wrote a gospel book. However, his disciples wrote about the history of Jesus, with all the teachings, words, and behavior or deeds of Jesus during his life on earth, until the event of Jesus ascending to heaven. The seventh difference between Isa and Jesus concerns the crucifixion and death of Isa or Jesus. Islam was never crucified, never died, and never resurrected. Rather, Isa's soul and body were taken up to heaven by Allah. While the person who was crucified was another person, whose face was changed to resemble Isa. So the people who were going to crucify Isa did not know that the person he was crucifying was another person, whose face was likened to the face of Isa. Whereas Jesus in Christianity, Jesus was crucified, died, and then rose from the dead after 3 days buried in a cave, a place to bury the bodies of Jesus' era. And after 40 days, Jesus was present in the midst of the lives of his disciples, and Jesus ascended to heaven with all his body and soul. The eighth difference between Isa and Jesus concerns the religion of Isa or Jesus. Jesus in Islam was a Muslim. In the belief of Muslims, all the prophets mentioned in the Quran were Muslims, and Islam is the religion of God. Jesus in Christianity, on the other hand, was a Jew, both ethnically and religiously. Jesus prayed in the synagogue and gave teachings to people who worshipped inside the synagogue and outside the Jewish place of worship. As we know, in Judaism there were several sects that lived during the time of Jesus. Those who followed the teachings and words of Jesus, the way of life and habits of Jesus, and the lifestyle of Jesus at a later time, while Jesus was not on earth, are called Christians, followers of Christ. The ninth difference between Isa and Jesus is in terms of their view of the end times. Isa Islam will come at the end of time. Isa will be present to establish prayers and kill Dajjal. Whereas Jesus in Christianity, at the end of time, Jesus will come as the judge of the world, who judges all humans in the world, in the sense of holding humans accountable for their lives and what they have done during their lives. This is to determine where humans will be directed after the judgment period, to heaven or to hell. The 10th difference between Isa and Jesus is in terms of his personal nature. In the view of Islam, Jesus was an ordinary human being, just like any other human being, although Jesus had a number of advantages, such as being able to perform miracles. In the Islamic view, they reject the divinity of Jesus as God because God is neither begotten nor begotten. Whereas in Christianity, Jesus is a divine God. He is not only an ordinary human being, but also a divine God. This is why he is worshipped and is the center of worship for his adherents, the Christians. For Christians, Jesus is God who became a man. Jesus was crucified and died to atone for the sins of mankind. Jesus rose from the dead after 3 days of burial in a burial cave, and after 40 days, Jesus ascended to heaven. Those are the 10 main differences between Jesus in Islam and Jesus in Christianity that we need to know. Hopefully, this message can build tolerance between Muslims and Christians for now and the future, and forever. Ameen.